They're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon. Will you be ready?
Have you ever taken a look at a photo, maybe even a painting, and you thought that there was something off about them? Something you just couldn't really shake off, but you knew that they stuck around with you for a long time, maybe even followed you to your dreams. Well, today I wanted to talk about the viral haunted paintings and images that creeped us out as kids. I'm not really sure why these particular images got so popular. Maybe they were part of some creepypasta, or maybe they somehow got around the web as an urban legend, which is funny considering how old some of these paintings and images really are when compared to the date that they actually got popular. Seriously though, I love these images a ton, mainly because there's no trickery behind these. Well, sometimes. What I mean is, when you have something like Jeff the Killer's image, then you can tell it's just an image of someone who is heavily edited to look creepy. Yet stuff like Tominos Hell is just superbly creepy. That scary face, that horrifying figure, ugh, it's so terrifying, and you pretty much saw this image everywhere when creepypastas became popular. And yeah, it might be a stretch to call Tominos Hell a creepypasta, as many have said it's a Japanese urban legend, but frankly I've been having a lot of trouble confirming that this is even an urban legend to begin with. Whenever I find out that this is a quote-unquote Japanese urban legend, somebody always mentions the creepypasta instead, so who knows. Though as creepy as the painting is, honestly it comes from a very unfortunate background. The artist is Yuko Tatsushima, and the art piece itself is called I Can Never Be a Bride, or something to that extent. Tatsushima actually deals with a lot of real trauma and bases her art on her past and the sexual assaults she faced. I won't go any further than that, as it's both too serious for Traumathon and because I feel like she is such an interesting subject that I would actually like to dedicate a video entirely on her someday. There's also this painting called the Japanese Suicide Girl, and the urban legend is that if you stare at this picture long enough, you'll hear voices, you'll start hallucinating, the painting will move, and of course you'll end up killing yourself. None of it, of course, being true, not even the part where it's Japanese. It was actually drawn by a Thai artist named Robert Chang, and this was an actual concept art for his sci-fi screenplay called Tellurian Sky. This is supposed to represent Princess Rue, a main character in that screenplay. Not much came out of Tellurian Sky, though Robert Chang still makes a lot of art. I guess the real fascination for this painting comes from this eerie stare the woman gives off. She just stares at you, never blinking. I mean, it's a photo, so of course she'll never blink, but she's never really staring in one particular direction, making it seem like her eyes are constantly following you. It really does make you feel like it will blink or it will move, and I even swear that I have seen it blink, but that's most likely in my head as a stupid teen. I knew others who said that they felt sick or just totally off, maybe even getting a headache staring at it for so long, but I always thought to myself, well, yeah, obviously you'd get a headache. You're staring at a screen for like hours, you dumbass. There's not much credibility to it actually being haunted, and nobody really knows where that haunted little story came from. It's just somewhat eerie, even to the way it was drawn. It's so clean, yet rendered as if she's a real girl. It's an uncanny valley sort of deal, and I think that's why for so many people, it's nauseating. You can't quite comprehend why it's off, but there is something about it that is off. We just don't know what it is. The Hands That Resist Them is a haunted photo with a generic story. Something about it making people feel sick and awful, though interestingly enough, it was actually purchased by John Marley. Yeah, that's right, the dude who got that horse head from The Godfather. Well, after he passed away, the painting was then sold to an old elderly couple who claimed it was cursed. I saw this painting circulating around the internet for a little while alongside the other haunted painting, so I personally always saw this painting as a sort of set. Later on, the artist of this painting, Bill Stoneham, created a sequel to this painting after being commissioned to do so, which made it look way cooler and not at all creepy. It kind of defeats the creepiness of the old painting, but who's to say it was really supposed to be creepy in the first place? It was part of Stoneham's gallery, which was of course when it caught the eyes of John Marley. The painting itself is supposed to represent Stoneham when he was a little kid, and it was based on a photo that he took when he was a child, and the doorway itself is supposed to be this split between reality and fantasy, while the little doll was supposed to be a sort of guide to that fantasy world. And of course, those hands are supposed to represent different realities, different possibilities that we of our lives can take. It was only after that it was sold on eBay with the description that it was haunted that people started believing that. It is interesting to note that Stoneham actually did create a prequel to the painting, which was commissioned to him by some random person. It does still have that creepy, eerie vibe to it, but honestly, it just seems to be telling a really intricate story that can be interpreted many different ways. It has a fascinating little history that's, I think, more interesting than the whole implication that it's somehow haunted. Really, you should really check out the art from Stoneham. It's far more interesting. Then, of course, we have the ever so famous Crying Boy painting. Honestly, this has been told so many times, and I really don't know which of the Crying Boy paintings really is the haunted one anymore. I believe this is the one that most of us know about, or even people are talking about, but I have seen other interpretations of the Crying Boy, or just completely different paintings of crying boys, and I really don't know which one's the origin. I'm just gonna say that this one is. But anyways, if you don't know the story, essentially a UK homeowner purchased a copy of the Crying Boy, possibly the original, and that night, he hung it on his wall. Afterwards, a massive fire set the entire neighborhood ablaze. This fire pretty much destroyed every house on the block, but the only thing that remained untouched, unscathed, was the original painting itself. I never thought the painting was creepy by any sense, but I can kind of see where people were coming from with this one. Seeing any kind of hyper-realistic painting is always in some way unsettling. People still report it being haunted to this day, and even though the original painting I don't believe is being sold right now, there are copies of the painting being sold by several different outlets, so you can snatch yourself a copy of this painting. And some people have reported that yes, this painting, even though it's a copy, is also haunted. I don't know how that works, but sure, why not? Now this one might be a stretch, mainly because it's not a painting, but it is a haunted image from Creepypasta, so I'm gonna go ahead and include it. Smile Dog. Which one? Any of them. Just pick your poison. I can't really tell you what Smile Dog was all about. Something about being a chainmail and possibly has something to do with dying or suicide, you know, the usual. Whatever the case may be, the images have always been pretty unnerving. Yeah, I know, by today's standards, they're super goofy. It's really just a dog with a smile, but I do remember staring at this photo for a long time and thinking that I could maybe possibly see something in the background. There really isn't anything deep with this photo. It's honestly just a shopped image of a dog's mouth being smiley and all of that, but it's creepy nonetheless. Then there's this photo, and I can't really tell you if this one came first or second, but I always thought this one was just too overt with its creepiness. Like, it's just trying too hard to freak you out that it kind of hurts my eyes, just how bright and red it is. I like it, but really not as much as the other one. It always creeped me out, and I know some people who really had haunting nightmares and cried whenever they saw that image. You know how fucking teenagers are. We're so overdramatic and stupid with the shit that scares us, I swear. This one might not be that viral, but I do like the story behind the Man Proposes, God Disposes painting. Students at the Royal Holloway believe that this painting is cursed. As legend goes, a student who sat next to the painting stabbed himself in the eye, causing his instant death. When people approached his body, they noticed he wrote down on paper, "The bears made me do it." A painting is believed to be cursed by so many students that it's kind of a tradition to just cover up the painting with a Union Jack flag. I've heard some people talk about this when I was younger, and while admittedly the painting is grisly in nature, especially when you consider the subject matter dealing with an actual ship being missing and, well, those people being part of the expedition just never coming back and nobody knows whatever happened to them, it really enhances the urban legend. I don't know why or how, because there's no real records of anyone dying around this time of this supposed student that committed suicide, so there's really little to no credibility. The students there, however, beg to differ, and even if you go there now, you will see that painting covered up with a Union Jack. It's strange, but hey, we all have our traditions, I guess. Mariana Mortigarde, or whatever. It's more known for being a cursed video than a cursed image, but technically speaking, the video itself is a still image for about 30 seconds until it changes to like 2 other still images. I know the eyeballs, but whatever, it doesn't count. As the story goes, the longer you watch this video, the more likely you are to go insane, or possibly even kill yourself. It's really not that scary as a video, but I always did feel unnerved by the image themselves. I mean, come on. This guy is using Windows Movie Maker effects. How can you honestly be scared of that now? Well, back then, people really believed it was a haunted video and that these images were subliminally making us think horrible thoughts. Not knowing anything about that sort of thing and also not understanding what the placebo effect is also helped this urban legend get some traction for no reason, honestly. Though looking back now, it is ridiculous to think that a bunch of teens would even believe this. In fact, this might be more indicative of their mental state more than anything else if they really believe this. Though, you can't deny it. It really is a weird video that makes you feel off. I don't know, maybe I'm just fooling myself. Finally, there's of course the Anguished Man, a horrifying painting with an unknown artist. Some people consider it to be the world's most haunted painting, and there's even a video of the painting causing paranormal shenanigans. As the legend goes, many people believe the haunted image was from a painter who mixed his own blood into the painting, then, after selling it, killed himself shortly after. Whether it's true or not is honestly irrelevant, because really, the painting is such nightmare fuel that it's hard to even think about the story. I'm sure for many of us, it has haunted us in our dreams for a long time, and it's really hard to forget it. Once you see it, it's permanently engraved in your minds. I've rarely ever met someone who saw this photo many years ago and then just forgot about it. You show them that photo and they will remember instantly what it is. It's terrifying, more so knowing that this might be really haunted, and not only is there video evidence of its supposed haunting, but because the story can't really be discredited. Not that I know of anyways. You know what? Now that I think about it, there's probably some more haunting images from around the web that I can definitely make a video on, mainly from our boys over at Creepypasta and the SCP Foundation. So stick around. New videos on spooky images from around the web coming soon. Next time, we'll explore some of the worst images found online that scared the crap out of us, whether they came from Creepypasta or some other outlet. I'll see y'all soon. Love you guys.